Eric Leroy Adams, public servant, leader, and lifelong New Yorker. Eric Leroy Adams has served the people of New York City as a New York Police Department officer, state senator, Brooklyn Borough president, and as the 110th mayor of the city of New York. He gave voice to a diverse coalition of working families in all 5 boroughs and is leading the fight to bring back New York City's economy, reduce inequality, improve public safety, and build a stronger, healthier city that delivers for all New Yorkers.
So now we're here at the Senate in the United States in Washington, D.C., and we're at the Ukrainian summit, which is dedicated obviously for Ukraine. And we're so glad to meet Mr. Adam, and it's a great pleasure to have you here with us right now. Thank you so much for supporting Ukraine. And you actually were the mayor of New York, right? And you actually helped a lot of for Ukrainian refugees, right? And you dedicated a lot of time to it. So we truly appreciate for everything you've done for New York, for Ukrainians. And you expressed so much solidarity with Ukrainians, right? And consistently stood up for Ukraine's side. And what did this support means to you personally? And how do you view its significance today?
Well, as the mayor of New York, we have a diverse population, and it's important to me that not only do we have one of the largest Ukrainian population, we also have a large Russian-speaking population, and I must make sure the conflicts that happen across the globe, it doesn't impact on the streets of the city of New York. And so when the war happened, New York was extremely open to allowing those from Ukraine to come to start their lives over in New York in general, but specifically a large population went to Brooklyn. And we want to continue to see the war comes to an end and allow the peace and prosperity that all deserves in the region.
Thank you very much. It's truly, truly important. And with ALLATRA International Public Movement, one of the goals also have to bring peace and protect the fundamental rights and freedom of people. So we truly support your efforts and really appreciate you. Ukraine continues to endure tremendous challenges. And what do you believe is most important to the global community today on a human level in terms of moral support and attention to the people themselves? And what would you personally like to see in this regard?
Well, I think I want to see what many people want to see, and that's peace. It's important because when you look at wars, sometimes you don't really understand that it impacts families. Some of the documentaries that I witnessed of the children who are growing up around war and how it impacts their long-term emotional and physical well-being. I think this is an important time for all parties to come to the table and our national leaders bring about the level of resolution and peace in the region because families are being impacted. And there's a large number of Ukrainians who are in America that want to go back home. They want to go back and live in their communities, in their neighborhoods, among their families. And so I'm hoping and praying for peace.
Thank you so much. And now your time as a mayor concluded, right? So what kind of social work you probably want to focus on next, and what kind of goals you want to pursue next, and what the plan maybe you have? Are there areas like humanitarian, maybe international or community-focused initiatives in which you would like to continue basically contributing for the good of America and the world?
Yes. I had the awesome responsibility and privilege to be the mayor of the city of New York, which is extremely diverse. The United Nations sits on the East River of my city, and we have witnessed men and women come from across the globe and saw how they can cross-collaborate and how we can find resolutions to our conflicts. And I want to continue to take that experience as I bring all human beings across the globe closer together and realize that we can resolve our conflicts without wars, and that is the level of expertise I want to bring globally.
That's tremendous experience that you got as a mayor of New York, because that's the city in the entire world, I would say that the most international city, and
Yes.
it's amazing, and you did a great job to handle everything and really be welcome for everybody. I have one more question to you. So, what do you see, actually, when you look back on your journey, right, from your years in the police force, right, to leading one of the largest cities,
Right.
what would you say has been your core internal motivation? What has remained the constant driving force behind your decisions?
Believing that we need to leave our city, our country, our planet in a better place than what we inherited, so the generations of the future will be able to have a planet that is responsible to nature, that's responsible to each other, and that's responsible for the generations that they will leave it for.
And what is really your mission of your life? How do you see it, the mission?
My mission is I've been blessed, and I want to pass on the blessings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In your view, what is that all people in the world share, actually, regardless of the race, nationality, or faith? What do you believe unites us at the most fundamental level?
I believe we all want to raise healthy children and families and have our children have a life that is a little better than the life that we live, and we can learn from each other.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
and pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fautré, it is a big pleasure meeting you here on the OSCE, a big event in Warsaw. The topic that we are very concerned about is the activities of anti-cult organizations such as Fautré, and it's actually a domain in Russia, Razzirs, and these organizations persecute the religious freedoms, the human rights, and undermine the democracy as it is. So my first question is, how do you estimate their activities and how dangerous they are here in the EU and the consequence to the democracy in the EU?
Yes, and first I want to thank you for having me here in your program. And of course, FECRIS and the anti-cult organizations have been for many years our target, Human Rights Without Frontiers in Brussels. And from there we have a look all over the European Union about their activities and beyond, of course, as in Ukraine or in Russia, and also in other non-European countries. And these are very dangerous activities for democracy and human rights in general. First, of course, what I would stress is that for 20 years, Alexander Dworkin from Russia had been the co-president of FECRIS, an umbrella organization which says that it is defending victims of some organizations that they label cults. But in fact, cults do not exist. You have religious belief organizations, and everybody is free to believe in what he wants to believe in. So, in fact, it is some sort of a thought police that is being installed in quite a number of countries and institutions of various states. I think of France, for example, Belgium as well, and of course in Russia. In Russia, they have been very effective, of course, because they have the support of the Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirill, to try to cleanse the country from any foreign agent in the religious sphere. So any religious group that has historical roots in other countries than Russia and before it was the Soviet Union. So, for example, they have declared illegal and banned Jehovah's Witnesses, also Scientology, also BYU, so the Mormon University institution, and the process will go on, of course, because they want the whole country just to be under the authority of both, on the political side, President Putin, and on the spiritual side, so the Russian Orthodox Church. I also want to stress that the support from Putin is also very important, since he introduced the concept of spiritual security in his program, because that allows him, if he needed any authorization to do it, to legally, I would say between inverted commas, to persecute non-Orthodox groups. And that's what is happening. And he exports that model. He exports that model also with the support of Alexander Dworkin, with the with the Russian member organization in FECRIS. They are active in Georgia, for example. They were active as well in Ukraine before the war started. Now they are not welcome, of course, but also in Europe. And in Europe, France is a key partner of let's say, the suppression policy of Putin through the state institution, the Miviludes, that finances FECRIS, because FECRIS was created in France and gets subsidies from the French government. So it's the French taxpayers who pay the activities spreading hate speech, hatred, hostility against minority religious and spiritual groups. We have been fighting with partners in France against their influence. We have been successful by managing to bar some policies that were to be developed by FECRIS, the Miviludes, and also to give the right picture of what the member organizations in France in FECRIS are, because they are also prosecuted, and successfully, by some minority religions like Jehovah's Witnesses. And our objective, of course, is to debunk the fake news, the lies, and all sorts of statements. They are very far from the reality.
I couldn't agree more, and thank you very much for your expertise. Our investigations of the project Creative Society and ALLATRA International Public Movement, but also a number of independent journalists, show that it's not only the minorities, religious minorities, who are targeted by this illegal network, as FECRIS and Razirs, but they go much farther than targeting the minorities. They target civil societies, human rights activists, and actually even such a country as Ukraine is called as a cult, and so they just legitimize its destruction. So my question is, what about us here in Europe, since we are very concerned about their activities and the huge network here in Europe, also in Slovak and Republic and Czech Republic and in other countries in Europe. So how do you see what actions, what measurements can be taken, maybe on the legislative level, to prevent their illegal actions, their illegal activities, so that we will not face such consequence as it is right now in human rights situation and democracy in Russia as a whole?
It is an ideological war that we are fighting here on the European continent. And one way of doing it is, as we do, to monitor all their activities when they are visible, because most of the time they are not. They act from behind the scenes. But when distribute fake news or distorted news, then the best thing is to re-investigate what they are writing and publishing, and to publish the reality, the real facts, so that journalists members of parliaments can have at least two narratives and make their choices. And it is very important to do that work, because we have noticed in many, many cases that politicians read the newspapers, and when there are campaigns, and they are very, well, very professional, I would say, in their campaigns against minority religions, they just believe what the press says. And then that's on that basis that they take decisions to have inquiry about so-called sexual abuses in Jehovah's Witnesses communities, for example, because I worked on that in Belgium. And it was a totally fake news, with the support in that case of the Belgian, let's say, state institution fighting against cults. Every time it's lies and lies and lies and distortions, just to stigmatize, because that is their objective, to stigmatize and break the picture of peace-abiding, law-abiding and peaceful groups that even contribute to the well-being of society. And this is, of course, the opposite of democratic values. And so by monitoring what they are doing, having a counter-narrative and putting those narratives, our narratives, in the hands of members of the European Parliament, that's what we do. We have a newsletter, for example, that reaches 10,000 subscribers who are members of parliaments, embassies in Brussels, in Washington, in London, NGOs, also members of parliaments of 16 member states of the European Union. That's our daily work, to debunk lies by anti-cult organizations. They are not different, in fact, from those who, in Pakistan, for example, persecute Ahmadis, because they are not, Ahmadis are not in line with normal, traditional Islam, and they are persecuted by a number of groups. And Fautré and other anti-cult groups do exactly the same, not using violence themselves, but by spreading hostility and hatred towards a number of groups. Then you have physical attacks against their members. Members of minority religions then lose their job, and also lose their business, so that has an impact on their family life, so the damage is absolutely huge. And there are also physical attacks against communal and religious buildings. So the impact that is not always visible, now thanks to the OSCE organization and the annual meeting here in Warsaw, is becoming visible, because those groups come and complain here with oral statements, with written statements, and this is brought to the attention of the delegations of the 57 participating states of the OSCE. And we also tell to all the persecuted minority groups, come to Warsaw, go to the OSCE or the conference and raise your voice and express your complaints.
That's amazing work what you do. And my last question would be regarding the civil society, and how can we as society spread awareness about these actually shadow networks, since in the majority of the population their activities are not known because they act in the shadow,
Yes. Yeah.
and therefore the majority of people they are undetected, but the opinions that they plant in the mass media through their agents and the journalists who are actually corrupted and destroying democracy right now, they actually have a huge impact on the opinion of the population. So what do you suggest for the civil society to do, or what measurements we can take to spread this awareness and then take further actions as here on the OSCE platform, on the European Parliament, and so on and so on?
I would say networking inside the news outlets, making friends with journalists, with press organizations, attending their conferences on the spiritual and religious issues, giving your card, distributing your documents, the results of your investigation, but especially having personal relations with journalists, so that then you can be in a good relation and showing that you are neutral, that you just want the truth and the facts, and not some biased perception of facts, or sometimes non-facts at all, that are misused to reach a specific agenda that is against freedom of religion or belief. And it takes time. It takes time. It can also take money, but mainly time. But it's fruitful. A second way is to defend yourself in courts. I have several examples that were successful with a good lawyer. You can win some cases against some media and some journalists, for sure, and that is not to be neglected at all. But of course you need funding to defend yourself, and you need the support of your specific religious or spiritual group, but that is also effective. And it's not unimportant to have the courage to attack them and to show also to public opinion through court decisions that they are not abiding by their ethical rules.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fautré, also from our team here in the OSCE. Your expertise is so appreciated internationally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
I'm so happy to see you here at the World Changes Forum. Could you please share a little about yourself, because I already know your story and I'm sure it will be interesting for our viewers.
Thank you so much for having me, and nice meeting you here. And what you're doing is amazing, because if we all would volunteer for this important events like World Changes Summit and speak about all these global issues, especially the influence and impact of AI to our new generation, for our next generation, and teach them and bring awareness how to use AI. This is so important, and this is so meaningful. So I live in Los Angeles. I moved there from London 6 years ago. My story is a little bit unusual. When I was 18 years old, my father, who at that time was a high-ranking officer, sent me to a military academy, but it's a special military academy. If you remember the KGB, and then it became FSB after. I was working for the department fighting against human and drug trafficking, especially with foreign countries like Afghanistan, who would bring heroin in big amounts to Russia and then distribute it to Europe. I was the one, together with my team, who would go to different criminal groups, investigate, get more information, do the reports. I would be the one who would be the bait, going inside and infiltrate the criminal targets, and then together with my team we would arrest the criminal team and release those victims who were kidnapped for sexual trafficking, for the human trafficking.
You basically put your life at risk to save the life of others, and this is really important. This is really inspirational example how people sacrifice themselves in order to make the world a better place and fight crime. And thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. You know, I will tell you this. If there's so many parents who would completely understand. That time I wasn't a parent. I was just 18 years old, and I was doing this for a few years. When you would see the amount of those underage children who would be kidnapped literally from the schools when they would go back home, from different countries around the world, including post-Soviet countries, and those children, both genders, and boys and girls, would be sold or just sent to another country for the human trafficking, or like it's really sad to say, for the organs. And it's still happening right now. For example, according to statistics, over 300,000 underage people are kidnapped for the sexual trafficking only in the United States annually. And this is a huge amount. It's what just we know and what we don't know. But I do believe that bringing awareness to this social big problem, especially teaching parents and educating female young generation and of course boys, for example, do not leave their glass unattended in a public place. Do not speak or go into private areas with somebody you don't know. This is so essential. This is, as parents, we need to teach our children in order to prevent these problems, because when it happens, it's very, very difficult to track these children, to track these victims and help them to escape and release them.
And I know that you published a book on this topic, and thank you for raising awareness about this issue.
Thank you. Yes, of course, of course. I mean, we have to do it, right? That's what we are standing for, what's the World Changes Summit stands for, and we're here in Vatican, and there's so many amazing people with the great experiences, and professors and scientists and doctors who are all there from all around the world, speaking about the same problem, to bring awareness to the social issues and helping especially young generation, because this is our future.
What are your impressions of World Changers Summit, of today's topics, transgender and future of humanity? Was there a specific speech that really impressed you?
Absolutely. This is the second day. I was invited by the Professor Gabriel, which I just adore, and I've heard his story, which is remarkable, and what he does for the world, giving back, going through his own personal challenges. It's just amazing and remarkable how he unites all people together, and also educating others and bringing awareness to these, global issues. And the topic which I really love, that so many people actually spoke about, is how can we educate our young generation of using artificial intelligence and internet and ChatGPT in the right way. How can we protect them? Because if a young child, for example, 7, 9 years old, would use ChatGPT from the father's or mother's phone and perhaps ask very dangerous questions and make his own childish observation, which may obviously not to be correct, and make certain actions based on that ChatGPT answer. So that's so important for us as parents and adults to teach our children to be careful with this artificial intelligence. As Pope Francis said, the internet is the God's gift, but it's important to know how to use it wisely. So it's exactly the same thing for the AI. We need to learn how to use it wisely, especially we need to teach our children how to use it correct.
This is exactly the topics of today. How do we combine artificial intelligence, development of technologies, and ethics?
Absolutely, and this is just powerful. And again, as a mother of a teenager, and I see his friends and classmates, I just understand this is so important topic, and that's why I'm here. I'm very honored to be here and honored to participate this important summit.
If you could say one phrase, one powerful message for our viewers, what would it be?
First of all, okay, one sentence. Never give up. No is not the answer. And believe that in any darkness, in any dark tunnel, you will always find the light. Just focus on the positive things and go further.
So So tonight we are in Miami at the incredible event which just has finished, and it was just amazing. The energy was flowing, everyone was so excited, there were so many new connections, new people. It was just simply great. So could you please introduce yourself, tell us what do you do, and what was your role tonight at the event?
I'm out here from Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Gabriel Cornejo, and I'm currently running for Congress, based out of Las Vegas, but the reason why I'm here is because I ran for president of the United States in this last election cycle. And the problems that we're experiencing in Nevada also pertain to the country and soon the globe. And so being able to come to this event, align with other people that are actively looking to solve problems, is the whole reason why I came, because we have a lot of people with a lot of brilliant ideas, but we have to be able to coalesce and implement them. So that's what brought me here.
So tonight, could you please share your impressions of tonight's event? What stood out? What was so memorable for you?
Yeah, well, for me, I came because I wanted to meet President Fernandez, right? And the thing that stuck out to me, he shared some stories that obviously for the role that I'm looking to be involved in, but for the United States, that is going to resonate with me. But what he shared the most was his passion for education, and he talked about how that's something that should be afforded everyone. And I know that for me, in my own experience in life, that my education was super important to allow me to expand my mind and expand the experience that I have as a human being. And I align with people just like many of these people here. They're actively trying to create conditions for a better life. And that's something that I think is infectious, but it's also inspirational. And there are plenty of them on stage, and that was the energy amongst the conversations I had today.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as far as I understand, are you a member of Lives Amplified or not yet?
Not presently, but man, they made a pitch, and it's hard for me to turn that down because it seems like that's the right move.
So what do you think about the organization in general, about this unification of people who are driven by making the change in the world?
Well, it's a special thing when you're able to find people that are like-minded and they want to accomplish something, right? Because we all have ideas. Ideas are a dime a dozen, but be able to align with people who either have a similar idea or want to empower you to pursue your idea, that's a whole other thing, right? Because the effectuating of change doesn't just happen without action. And so being able to congregate with people who are action-oriented, that's a powerful thing to be around and to be, even if you are just as a guest or eventually a member, you can feel it as soon as you come in the door.
And how do you think this international dialogue that you were able to build tonight at the event, how will it help you to achieve the goals that you've set for this year or for the coming years?
Well, just because I ran for president of the United States, I think globally in general, right? But I also have an experience as an American who lived in Canada. Those are only certain perspectives, but being able to align with other people who can share their perspectives, especially who also think at a global level, is going to help shape my ideas in the future, and then also create a network of people so that way when I have gaps of my own knowledge or blind spots, I have people who can help guide me through those and offer wisdom as I try to help create solutions, and in response, I do that for them as well.
And what would you like to say to the organizers of the event, to Dr. Stephen Melnick, and to everyone who was present tonight?
Sure. Dr. Melnick, I met you in the Hamptons. You inspired me. Thank you for hearing me out and sharing the ideas that we talked about. You know what we talked about, because there are people in this world who will only talk about things, but you actually are taking action, and you invited me, and that means a lot to me. And here I am because I said I would come. So thank you. Keep doing that. I know you're going out there into the world and finding other people that want to change things. And that on itself is admirable, but also necessary. So thank you for doing so. Thank you for this organization. Thank you for the interviews. I'm sure you got a lot of great people who are going to be able to share their story and ideas, and that's going to inspire other people to come and work together. So thank you for all that.
Thank you.